the images that we see influence not only how we feel about ourselves, but the images that all of us see influence how we treat each other and how policy is formed and how ideas are built. You know, culture influences policy, and I think the stories that we tell, how we tell them, and how women are portrayed, and how anyone is portrayed, honestly, influences how we think about them. I'll just use Black Panther as an example right now. I was really moved by the idea that Black Panther is allowing a younger generation to go to an action film and see the beauty of what it is to be a person of color, to be a Black person in this country, both culturally, in the clothing and the dress and the hair and the styles and the skin and our body type, all of it. And young Black children and young white children start to identify in a different way of what a hero looks like. And it expands your understanding of what's possible for you. And that changes how you go about dreaming. I started crying when I first started watching, when the movie first started, that first moment when they rescue Lupita. I know that's not her name in the movie. But I thought to myself, my goodness, why have I not been told over and over again how beautiful we are? I was just like, oh my God. Like, it was the same way I felt when I saw the Nina Simone documentary. I was like, this is beauty. This is what it is. This is not pretty. This is beauty. This is depth. This is a woman who's in her skin and in her body and in her power and in her gift and in her joy. And even within her sadness, she is in her joy because she is expressing herself to the fullness of who she is. And we don't see women like that as a norm in our culture. And I find it exhausting. And I also, when the moments come that we see that, or I see that, I feel like I stand up a little bit taller and I understand who I am a little bit better. I understand what I come from a little bit more. And that helps me to move forward in the world with a larger scope, you know? I think of the television shows that I responded to as I was growing up. Like, when I look back, I'm like, oh, no wonder I became the woman I am today. I was like, let's see, Lucy, Carol Burnett, Wonder Woman, the Charlie's Angels, Sabrina was my gal, Bionic Woman. Like, I think of all of these strong women that could leap over buildings, they could save people, they could be humorous and beautiful and glamorous. Like, of course I became a woman that was pieces of all of that because I got to see what was possible, you know, and I lived in a home where I had a mother who was doing all of those things. I think representation is incredibly important, but I don't think it's everything, but it's a lot of thing. You know, I think it's both. I think you can, I have always been taught that you can dream beyond what you see, that your limitations don't define what you will become, what you can do, and who you are. And not only your limitations, but your own experience does not define that. Neither do the images that you see. However, they all play a part. All of those pieces play a part. Just because you dream it doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's a lot of things that I can dream. I could want to be an NBA basketball player, but that's not necessarily going to happen. But I do think that dreaming is not the only thing. Fantasy is not the only thing. It's how we put that to work, how we utilize our hands and our feet, and really get involved in doing the homework, doing the footwork, and creating an experience that's going to lead you towards and in the direction of what you want. I mean, on Blackish, I just make a conscious effort to make sure that Rainbow Johnson is not just wife wallpaper, and that she is a full woman who has a full life, and that her importance and her selfhood is gained from all aspects of her and not just one or the other. It's not interesting that she is a wife, that's a doctor, that she is a doctor, that she's a mother. It's interesting that she is all of those things. And that is a reflection of what so many women are. And, you know, for example, my character made history with the Emmy nomination and the Golden Globe nomination. And what was fascinating to me as a Black woman is all those years had passed without a Black woman being nominated as a lead actress in a comedy. And I think to myself, I know so many women and so many Black women who are the leads in their lives. Why is that not reflected on television? Why is that not being reflected in that way? And we just have to do better. And the same way that sexism, time's up, misogyny is not a question just for women. How do we fix it? Racism and diversity and inclusion in entertainment and media is not just a question for the diverse. Like, it is a question for everybody. How do we tell stories that actually reflect the fabric of our lives? And if culture is going to, as we know it does, influence policy, it takes 10 to 15 years. But if the stories that we tell and the narratives that we share actually reflect, influence how we see ourselves and how we respond and take care of each other, then we have to make sure that we do a better job of representing that.